Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a fascinating new paper that tackles one of AI's biggest and kind of weirdest weaknesses, just making a simple plan. So think about it. We've got these incredible large language models, LLMs, right? They can write poetry, they can code, they can pass medical exams, but ask one to solve a basic puzzle that takes a few steps and they fall flat. It's this huge gap between knowing a ton of stuff and actually using that knowledge to get something done. And this right here shows you exactly what goes wrong. You see, the research points out that these AIs tend to do one of two things. They either get stuck in a loop, just repeating the same useless move over and over, or they just make stuff up. They'll hallucinate an impossible move, like trying to walk through a solid wall in a maze. It's kind of like they know every word in the dictionary, but can't string them together to get from point A to point B. So, how do you fix this? Well, the researchers here did something really clever. Instead of just trying to build an even bigger AI, they looked for a better blueprint. And they found it in the ultimate problem solver, the human brain. Specifically, they zoomed in on our prefrontal cortex. You can think of it as the CEO of our brain, the part that handles all the high-level planning and decision-making. And this is where it gets really interesting. See, our brain doesn't just throw one giant, all-powerful processor at a problem. Instead, it uses a whole team of specialized components that work together. You've got one part that breaks the problem down, another part that's constantly checking for mistakes, another one predicting what's going to happen next, and a manager overseeing the whole thing. It's this incredible coordination, all focused on achieving a single goal. So taking that insight, that team-based approach, led them to design a totally new kind of AI architecture. They call it MAP, which stands for Modular Agentic Planner. And as the name suggests, it's all about mimicking that brain-inspired, teamwork-focused way of solving problems. Now, the core idea here is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. Instead of having one giant AI try to do everything at once, the planning, the checking, the acting, AMP splits the work up. It uses a bunch of different LLMs, each one acting as a specialist, and each one gets a very specific job, just like those different functions in our prefrontal cortex. Right, so think of it like putting together a top-notch project team for the AI. First up, you have the decomposer. That's your strategist, breaking the big goal into smaller, manageable chunks. Then you've got the actor who proposes the very next move. But, and this is key, before that move happens, the monitor, who is like your super sharp-eyed quality control expert, checks to make sure the move is even possible. Then you have your predictor, forecasting the outcome, and the orchestrator acting as the project manager, making sure everyone is working together seamlessly. All right, so the theory is elegant, right? A coordinated team of specialists should absolutely beat a lone genius trying to do everything. But does it actually work in the real world? To find out, the researchers threw some really tough, notoriously tricky planning problems at MAP. Let's start with a classic puzzle that AIs usually struggle with, the Tower of Hanoi. Now, a standard GPT-4, when just asked to solve it, only gets it right about 11% of the time. But MAP, with his coordinated team approach, it nailed it, solving a whopping 74% of the problems. That's not just a little better. That is a gigantic leap forward. Okay, but get this, because this next part might be the most incredible result from the whole study. Thanks to that one specialist, the monitor, the one whose only job is to check the rules, MAP made exactly 0 illegal moves. None. Zilch. Every other method they tested made mistakes, but MAP's little rule checker was absolutely perfect. For building AI we can actually trust, that is a total game changer. And it wasn't a fluke either. They tested it on another benchmark, PlanBench, which has all these complex logistics and reasoning problems. And again, MAP came out way ahead. On some of the hardest problems, it actually more than doubled the performance of the other AIs. And here's something else that's really promising. This whole setup is actually super efficient. The researchers discovered that they could build MAP using a smaller, more cost-efficient model, like Llama 3, and it would still outperform a massive, top-of-the-line GPT-4 system. That's huge, because it means we could be on a path to building much smarter, more capable AI that's also more accessible to everyone. So let's zoom out. What's the big picture here? What does all this mean for the future of AI? Well, the really big takeaway is this. When you break down a complex task like planning into specialized roles that have to coordinate, just like our brains do, you don't just get a smarter AI. You get one that's fundamentally more reliable. Think about it.
Having that one agent whose only job is to check for errors makes the entire system so much more robust. That's exactly what you need for real-world tasks where mistakes can't happen.
And all this really leaves us with one final pretty profound thought. What this work shows us is that maybe the biggest key to unlocking the next generation of AI isn't just about more data or bigger computers. It's about better understanding ourselves. When we build AI in the image of our own coordinated cognitive teamwork, we're not just making it more intelligent, we're making it a little more human.